Good morning, and welcome back to the morning show right here on Tobago Updates. Again, I'm joining you this morning a bit earlier, and I have the privilege this morning of chatting with Mr. Bradon Roberts, who is the tutor Tobago officer. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, and good morning to the viewers and listeners.
Excellent. Now, you have been an advocate for teachers here in Tobago as a part of tutor, and this morning we're talking about a number of issues that have continued to face teachers on the island. Give us a little bit of a background on some of the developments that have been happening for teachers, and what are some of the issues that you think Tobagoans need to be aware of at this time?
Well, we have, as you mentioned, quite a few issues. One of the more disappointing one is the way in which the contract teachers are being handled, knowing that we have two persons who just came out of the same situation. And it amazes me to this date that I am advocating for this against these same people. I have to say against because I'm not seeing the effort that they are putting into addressing the matter. They have, to me, hands. I've never heard the Chief Secretary speak in any genuine way, significant way in addressing this matter. I am not seeing the Secretary of Education being focused on the matter. So we are always hearing about an audit, and then the audit wasn't done properly, and they're doing a new audit. And then this latest audit, I heard that the ministry have issues with the audit. I'm not certain how they send the documents to the ministry, and they did not give tutor a chance to even see it, knowing that we have been working with the division, advocating at the division for a lengthy period of time. So it's passing strange, the approach of both the Chief Secretary and the Secretary where the contractors are concerned. I have consistently been speaking about the leave classification issue as well. That to me should have been a simple matter. We had a lot of advocacy to do at the CPO office, at the ministry office. We would have engaged Chief Ad to assist in sending the request and so on for the authorization for leave to be done in Tobago. And I would have hoped that the Secretary would have been more at it in ensuring that it is completed. I believe she either was misled to believe that leave is being classified in Tobago. I heard her in an interview, which was very disturbing, seeing the effort that tutor is putting in. I'm not seeing the division putting the same effort or the teacher putting the same effort in ensuring that we have our leave for our persons in Tobago classified. It's years of outstanding documents that just placed in boxes in Trinidad that came over in boxes in Tobago, and it is not being done. So to hear the Secretary say about this being classified more than a month now demonstrates that she is not aware of what is happening in education. And it's very concerning seeing that we would have had years of assistant secretaries in the Division of Education because it's not an easy division to manage. You remove the assistant secretary and then you give the secretary an additional division to manage. It's like I'm not seeing where the thought is going into these things. So there are a number of issues. I wrote the secretary 2 weeks ago for a meeting, a date sometime in November. While I got an acknowledgement from one of her secretaries, I haven't gotten a date as yet. Leave classification is one of those matters. So if we would have had that meeting, she would have had an understanding that it is not what she believes it is. And there are other things. We are looking at the school repair program. We are looking at all the promises made about artisan team and Tobago. There are a lot of stuff that are not being followed to completion. And I believe that the secretary's hands is at so many different things that she is not aware of what is happening on the ground.
Understood. And I remember in a previous conversation, the Secretary did indicate that after several conversations with the Minister of Education, that now this leave for teachers issue will be dealt with directly in Tobago. What do you think are some of the structural challenges that have not allowed that to be properly implemented?
Right, so it have no structural challenge. It's stick to it. So you had conversations with the minister. It's not the end of your job. You ensure that the ministry follows through with what they said they were going to do. I am seeing a document floated that someone signed an authorization letter. Not anybody could sign an authorization letter to devolve any level of authority to Tobago. So I'm not certain if the person who signed that letter was someone who was in the right position to sign that letter. So it's not just having a conversation. The reason why I know for sure when I heard the secretary spoke that is not accurate, I am in it. I'm a grown person. So when teachers feel pain, I feel it too. I am so much into the issue. So if the secretary touches these matters on as a surface issue, have a conversation. I have several conversations with CPO, Minister, DPS, functionaries within the ministry, the Teaching Service Commission. I am there with the matters to completion. That's what education requires. So if the secretary does some of the face value stuff, we have meetings. Meetings don't fix things, you know. It's a pathway to getting things done. There's the action part of it that you need to follow up on. So I would want that we give our secretary a good opportunity and not add so much to her duties that she's not able to follow through on any one of the things that she has been speaking of.
Understood. I remember in a conversation with the Secretary for Finance, she indicated that within this upcoming fiscal, or this fiscal, because we're already in it, that gratuities and increments will be prioritized within all divisions. And I specifically indicated that there has been a huge backlog at the Division of Education and asked her if that will be prioritized. She indicated that all divisions will be, at the top of the priority when it comes to ensuring that all gratuities and increments and all those outstanding payments to employees are met. How do you feel about this?
Right. So I am cautiously optimistic with the promises made. I know that the THA would have struggled for some time with releases. And I say releases because allocations and releases are different things. So while we may have one of the largest allocations to Tobago in some years, releases had different allocations. So while they may have a desire to pay the gratuities when they are paid, then I would have that level of confidence that we're in the right path. We have had promises for a very long time. Our contract teachers have had promises about the gratuity for a very long time. The administrative divisions also indicated that they are in the process of putting these things together, so they're hopeful that by December, our contract teachers are quite aggrieved with the lengthy wait. At least they are getting a date now. I hope that they don't set up persons where, we feel a little optimistic and the anxiety is there, and then Christmas comes and then we hear about some story about the releases, because releases are not the same as allocations. I just want to stress on that. So I see the importance of honoring these outstanding payments. This money is already worked for. I would hope that the finance secretary, they define the allocations, define the releases, the money to send to the division so that they can be paid. And when they are paid, I have no issue coming to the media, commending the THA, commending the division. But these things are taking too long. They're taking too long. And we're not getting the transparency, We're not getting the conversations as to what is really happening, what is causing the delays. If the secretary was in each of these matters, she could have easily come to the media to say, this is what is happening, so we could ease the tension on the ground. A lot of teachers, we cannot afford teachers to have their morale falling. They can have low morale as a teacher. Teaching is such a significant job where we need to have our most important stakeholders, our teachers, at a place where they are functioning at their best. So the anxiety on the ground is not healthy. And if we have that clear speech, that clear directive as to what is happening in education, not just coming from tutor who fighting for the matters, it would ease the anxiety on the ground.
Understood. And even as it pertains to teachers getting those outstanding payments that are owed to them, whether it be increments or gratuities, is there a particular group that you would like to be prioritized? Or are you in agreement with the first in, first out system that may be used?
Well, at this stage, the lengthy period that persons have been waiting, I don't know about any group to be prioritized. Everybody needs to get their finances right away. So I hope it's not any phased payment where some persons all Easter, July next year, we're looking to see who to prioritize. Everybody is deserving of their money right away. So I would not speak to any particular grouping. We have retirees not able to get their pension benefits and so on. with outstanding documents in the division, like the leave classification thing, for example. So I would want us to fix things in a way where if it takes 3 months processing after your gratuity to get a pension, within 3 months you're getting a gratuity. This thing where you're waiting years to get your gratuity payments is not acceptable. So it's not about any one particular grouping at all. There are too many groupings waiting for too long. So I'm not going to have any grouping saying, oh wait, they didn't call my name when we waiting because I call at this a particular group. There are too many groups that are suffering with the inefficiencies of the division, whether it's through the allocations or the systems within.
Right. And I remember in a conversation with you, we discussed the school repair program and the idea of that program being done throughout the school term. Are you satisfied with the progress that is being made on that front?
Right, so let me be fair to the secretary. The secretary, in listening to her, she has good ideas. My concern is just that she's not able to follow through the number of things that is happening. She's not able to follow through on any one of them. So they would have changed the format in which school repair programs are done. There is a major company, EID Cut, that handles it. There are kinks in it, so not all the work is up to standard. Some of the work is still coming way too late. We are rushing the work. You have to revisit some of those work because things are happening while school open, so we don't get that in the media. So not everything I would bring to the media, I would indicate to the secretary, we need to get some attention to this particular thing and so forth. But the school repair program still has great improvements to be made. And we have submitted, we should not be waiting for July, August to then have this big project. After we made that submission, we heard about this artisan team. And as I said before, the secretary would have good ideas, but you're not seeing them materializing. You're not seeing them coming out to assist in the heavy spending in July, August, and also the prolonging of the material, the equipment, and so on, because we have maintenance throughout the year. So we have too many schools reaching to a state of dire need before we address them. So the idea of the artisan team, whatever the bureaucracy is there, they can look for another avenue. When you reach a roadblock, it's not to turn back. It's to look for another avenue to get where you need to go. So I hope that whatever stumbling blocks would have been in the way of that idea of the artisan team, we need to have schools monitored by persons from the IQED, where we know as works, to check some of the schools, make sure the lightings are good, make sure the plumbing works are good, whatever it is before you wait for July, August. So there will always be a strain come July, August if we don't fix some of these things. And I think the secretary has some of the ideas. It's just not materializing.
Understood. And what are some of the other areas of priority for tutor as we speak when it comes to teachers and teacher development here on the island of Tobago?
Well, it is resources, and resources is the problem with everything in education. Everything has a cost. And if the allocations and the releases to the division is not up to par, we would not be able to service education as we ought to. We have too many teachers without proper seating, so chairs and desks. They are still awaiting orders from the July-August period where they should have had the schools furnished. So there are children who are sitting to a single seater. There are a number of those little niggling, frustrating issues in our schools. When we look at the curriculum, we are seeing an increase in deviant behavior even within our primary school students. We need to have a change state. We have heard this Tobago-centric curriculum story, and I said the secretary would have good ideas, but they're not materializing. I don't even know where that reach, if that scrap, where along the line that is. So we are not giving our teachers, their assistants, in treat with the increased number of students with learning disabilities in our schools. We are talking inclusion, so there are a number of them within our primary school system. We are not able to reach them. Our referral system, it's very slow. we don't get the necessary help at the time that we need it, because even social services, guidance officers are limited to the number of schools that they would need to service. So there are a lot of niggling issues that are not being addressed, and I would believe it's because of the resources. The indiscipline in our primary schools, as I said before, is very concerning. They will transfer into secondary school, where it's going to fester in a bigger way. There are 2 schools with police officers. I see Signal Hill Secondary, not so much in the news, so much now with fights and so on, but there are a lot of fights still happening in Mason schools almost every day. So we are not handling all these niggling issues, and they would all mount up to frustration by the principal and the teachers trying to manage behavior, trying to manage curriculum. In the primary school level, we are at the bottom of all the education districts. There's nothing there to be proud of. So sometimes I would see them talking about this impact program and all the progress being made, and we are at the bottom of the table still. So we need a little honesty as well in some of the things that we are doing. But to me, the majority would be based on resources.
Totally understood. And, even as we round up the discussion, you did highlight or indicate that inclusivity and having an inclusive curriculum is important towards the development of Tobago youth, particularly when we look at children with autism and children who are on the spectrum. What has tutor been recommending, or what has the conversation been surrounding students who may not be on the side of the spectrum where they need to be at a special needs school, but they still require special attention? Are there conversations about having private institutions that are just focused towards students with autism? Because we know that that is a gap in the education system in Tobago. There are persons in Trinidad who want to come to Tobago to live, but because their children are on the spectrum and there isn't a specific, curriculum or educational institution or any focus that is placed on that particular group, that hinders, persons from wanting to be in Tobago. What's the conversation?
Yes, so it's a real conversation, a real topic with the level of, autism and the other disabilities that we have in our schools. I'm not certain where the research is as to the cause of it. I'm not certain if the drug use, what are the things that are having an increase in the number of persons with autism and so on. It's very difficult for our teachers who are not specialists in special needs to address appropriately autistic children and those who have other disabilities. We do not have persons sent to our schools to assist with students like that. So our teachers try their very best to navigate, to ensure that those students get as much of the curriculum as they can get. Some of those students are actually gifted, They learn in different ways. So those teachers who are more versed in that regard would have that child benefit to the maximum. But that will be in the minority. When you have large classrooms, how much time do you really get to give to a child with special needs if attention is not given, where you give an additional specialist teacher or someone specially assigned to the school to aid in those areas? So what teachers have been doing is trying their very best with differentiated instructions to cater to their needs. I feel it for those parents who are trying their best, because sometimes you may see a child with behavioral issues when it's really other things that causing it. And as I said before, referral system is very slow, it's not efficient. So sometimes these persons go through our system not getting the kind of needs, the attention that they ought to get. So as I said before, it's resources, the manpower to help our teachers to reach those students who have special needs. And there is an increasing number. I don't know if the 2 schools, Happy Haven and School for the Deaf and Hearing Impaired, could accommodate all the students on the island with these particular needs. So some of them are within our government schools and our government-assisted schools.
Right. And do you think that one of the solutions to this problem could possibly be to have specific teachers and specialists assigned to the school who may be in charge of maybe like a lower level class and an upper level class that is just specific to children who have autism. So, you have the regular classes, standard one, standard two, whatever, but then you have a lower level class where you have maybe 4, 5, or 6 students who have autism, and then an upper level autistic class where they are learning but in a different way.
Well, definitely it's one of the possible solutions. And it's similar to remedial teachers that we had in the past, where you will pull out the students momentarily. So it's not like if they are not integrated into the regular class at periods of the day, but you pull them up momentarily to address particular needs and have them back with their original class. So definitely that is one of the solutions. There could be any number of solutions, but we need to have that roundtable conversation. We haven't had that. We don't have those kind of things. If I don't write for a meeting with the secretary, we don't get, so the policy conversations are not there unless we write the secretary on it. We would have the division meetings where we look at the operational issues. So some of those things are discussed there, but they require policy. So, as I said before, I would have written the secretary with a list of issues. Leave classification is one of them. So those things could be ironed out if we get a date. I haven't gotten a date as yet. And we would be able to move forward. And I don't want us operating on autopilot at the Division of Education. Education is too significant of a matter in any country to be functioning this way.
Understood. And is there anything that you want to say to Tobagonians before we end off our discussion this morning?
Well, definitely I want us as a people to be attentive to details, and hold our persons to account. So that tutor's position here is to hold our Secretary of Education, because that's where we fall to account. We hold our teachers to account, we hold our parents to account, we speak to the issues. I would want persons to be focused in Tobago and not be also into this political thing. Politics is really eroding what we have in Tobago, because everybody sees truth based on who party it is. So the truth resonates differently if it's your people. And I don't know if it have your people and my people, because we should all be one in Tobago here, trying to make Tobago a better place. So we need to cool down on just this blue and red and yellow and all this story here, and focus on building Tobago, where we are attentive to details, we're looking for improvements, we're holding persons to account in a respectful way. I'm not speaking about disrespecting persons and so on, but that is what we need, a more attentive Tobago to move forward. It's not about party and just in the clouds and not seeing about real life issues.
Understood. Well, Mr. Bradon Roberts, we want to thank you so much for being here this morning and always representing the plight of teachers on the island of Tobago. Guys, we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back right after this. See you soon.